Okay, so the Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments in the Trump immunity case, right? This is on the election interference BS that Trump's claiming presidential immunity on this. I mean, the case itself is BS. Everything that was done through legal means. It's just pissed off the Democrats, so they're just going to go after him for it. But they were hearing oral arguments, and they brought in a constitutional expert. This guy has testified in front of Congress several times. His name's John Sawyer, I believe. He's got a real raspy voice. If you've ever paid attention to any of those congressional hearings, you've probably heard him. But anyway, so basically Trump's lawyer asked the guy, where they were talking about presidential immunity, specifically trying to lay out exactly how everything works, and it got to the point to where she was like, so say if a president orders the assassination of a political rival, can that be an official act? And the guy basically says yes, he can actually do that. Now, there's some convoluted means. You essentially have to get authorization, like if there's an imminent threat to national security, like, I don't know, say he's stole some secret documents or something like that, was going to sell them to one of our adversaries, blah, 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 or there was sufficient evidence to commit treason through an official act, he can order that guy's assassination and cannot be prosecuted for that. They were basically, but this pissed off the Democrats like really bad. But it's true. The truth hurts sometimes. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. Presidential immunity is very, very broad and almost endless. Essentially, the only way you can criminally prosecute a president for anything is he has to be, 1, impeached, 2, convicted in the Senate and removed from office. Then you can go after him criminally. So essentially, what they're basically getting at is if there's a supermajority in the House and the Senate, right? The president walks down the street, pulls out a gun, and just caps somebody for no reason. And you can actually get all the congressmen and all the senators to not pursue impeachment. He can't be criminally prosecuted for that. That's how wide the presidential immunity goes. It's insane, folks. Mexico's President Obrador, get this, man, this kind of pissed me off. He's demanding, essentially, $20 billion in economic assistance to South American countries. He wants to get rid of the Cuban blockade, whatever sanctions are going on with Cuba. He wants to get rid of all that. And there was a couple other little points I can't think right off the top of my head. I'm sorry, folks, but the $20 billion just to help with curbing illegal migration into the United States. $20 billion. And then give that to South American countries. And there was some other, like I said, there were some other stipulations in there. And I'm like, what? So this guy doesn't care that these people come through his country, obviously, and he's not going to do anything. It's basically extortion. It's BS, folks. And the Biden administration, once again, throwing their net far and wide. Now they're trying to get rid of independent subcontractors. Yeah, there's a new rule that just got put out. Places like Lyft and Uber, all their drivers are independent subcontractors, right? That basically, it gets rid of a lot of restrictions that normal companies, they have to provide health insurance and workers' comp insurance and all this other stuff. Well, if you hire somebody as an independent subcontractor, essentially, they have to provide their own workman's comp insurance and health insurance and life insurance and all that other stuff. Everything tied to hiring an employee, they have to do themselves because they're independent subcontractors. There are hundreds of companies that hire people through independent subcontract work, right? I work for a business that we do independent subcontract work. We do glass work, right? All the storefronts you see in stores and skyscrapers, all the glass walls, glass buildings, that's what I do. We install glass. We are independent subcontractors. But this rule goes a whole lot deeper than that. They're not putting us out of a job. There's just, I would have to read into it some more. If you want me to cover that, I can. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to cover that story, and I'll cover it at a later date. But what's up, everybody? How the hell's your day going? I hope y'all are having a pretty good day. This here is Legitical Response. As you know, we cover political news. We keep you up to date on what the government is doing, the ins and outs, and everything that's going on. What's Biden doing? What's Trump doing? What's the Supreme Court doing? But we do cover Congress a whole lot, and that's what we got coming up for today. But if you want to keep up with what Congress is doing, what the Supreme Court's doing, what Biden is doing, what the president is doing, smash that subscribe button for me and turn on your notifications. It sure would help. And if you could, as a favor, smash that like button. I sure would appreciate it. You know what? Smash the like button if you love America. Go ahead and hit that like button for me. But enough of my rambling, right? Let's go ahead and get into some news for today. Check this out. My favorite congressman, so I had to cover it. There was a story that came out. I almost covered it yesterday, but I didn't. A new spending deal that Mike Johnson, they passed it in the House or whatever, and this thing is kind of egregious. There's no significant cuts to spending, right? So, but we'll get into that. Let's get into this story. My favorite congressman, Chip Roy. Chip Roy rips into Speaker Johnson's garbage spending deal. And that's right. Here we go, man. I like this guy a lot, man. And you'll see why here in a second. The way he just rips into people. The way he talks about how Congress works and how Washington is so broken. Man, this dude he really, really seems very, very genuine when he speaks. And what he speaks about is the brokenness of Washington. All the time, he berates every single other congressman for all these little deals they do and all these omnibus spending packages and all this other crap. It's bullshit. They overspend so much money. They approve budgets in deficits, right? Biden had a $1.5 trillion deficit on his budget, which is insane. It's just insane. All right, here we go, though. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson and Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer have finally come to an agreement on the next budget spending bill. But Rep. Chip Roy is furious, despite Johnson touting the agreement as a way to cut back on spending while avoiding a government shutdown. That's right. They had to put an emergency package together because Kevin McCarthy didn't do his damn job and get all these individual appropriations bills worked out in, the 10 months that he was Speaker of the House? Didn't do none of that. Did a bunch of investigations, which, I like the investigations, but hey, do your damn job. We put these people in office so they can represent us and vote on these spending bills because they have to do it every single year because there's budget bills for every single fiscal year. And what did Kevin McCarthy do? Sat on his damn hands. That's why he got booted. And then Mike Johnson has to come in and clean up the damn mess, right? Well, Mike Johnson is failing right now. I'm very mad at Mike Johnson. I was really happy when Mike Johnson got put as Speaker of the House. I was like, yes, finally, we have somebody, because I've followed this guy for a couple of years now. He seems like he's on the level, but right now, it's like once you get put in that position, he's not standing his ground. In other words, he's giving in. He's negotiating away way too much of his power. He could be fighting back, but let's keep going. Roy tells Glenn Beck, the bill will hammer the American people, and that while Johnson is the new speaker, he's simply representing the same garbage. The bill is 1.66 trillion, which is nearly 60 billion more than Nancy Pelosi's last spending bill and 100 billion more than what is needed. Meanwhile, the bill doesn't address the border crisis at all. I was surprised when I read everything in that spending package. Nothing at all on the border. Nothing whatsoever. Biden has flung the gates open wide and has let 10 million illegals come into this country since he took office. His administration has aided and abetted illegal migration. I've shown that video ad nauseum of CBP agents taking a forklift and lifting the razor wire that Governor Greg Abbott put in place to keep people from swimming across the Rio Grande and coming into this country illegally where there's no ports of entry. You know, there's wide swaths of that southern border that are just deserted desert. People just come across. They go out to these remote areas and they just cross the border and come on in, and we have no idea who these people are. It could be terrorists. And it's probably cartel members running drugs, trafficking humans, kids, women, all this other stuff. It's a bunch of horrific crap going on that border. I talk about it all the time, so I'm not going to get too stuck on it. But let's keep going. Republicans are going to go try to sell you and the American people that that's somehow a win. Don't believe them, Roy says. I asked to eat a National Defense Authorization Act, which got rid of almost all of our policy changes we put in our version, and then extended FISA over 16 months so we can have a government continue to spy on the American people. And now I'm being asked to accept this ridiculous spending bill with no real border security measures, Roy continues. While the deal is financially devastating, Roy is slightly more concerned about the lack of attention given to the border. In my view, they're actually both important, but I will take border security first, he tells Glenn, and then Glenn says, me too. And I would have to agree with that. We really, honestly, in all honesty, we have all the laws on the books that we need to enforce border security, to keep all these migrants from coming across that border, right? There's a definition in the Secure Border Act, I believe, of 2003, I think. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere around that time, and I believe that's the name of the act, that says we must maintain operational control of the southern border. Then it goes on to define operational control of the southern border, which means basically no persons, no contraband, nothing comes across our southern border without authorization of the federal government. Now, looking at that definition specifically, that's almost an impossible task. But what President Trump was trying to do was build that wall to make that a little bit more possible, right? Because if you have a wall, you're going to have to dig and go underneath it or try to go over it, right? Well, there was going to be cameras set all along the 2,000 miles of southern border, almost 2,000 miles of southern border that we have. Trump was going to make that border a whole hell of a lot more secure. And when Biden gets in office, what does he do? These jobs were already contracted out. The wall was being built. We had all the building materials. Biden comes in and stops the construction. Okay? You might be thinking, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, like I said, those were contract jobs, which means if the customer breaks the contract, we still have to pay the price of that job. So basically, what Biden done is put us even more in debt by stopping construction of that border wall and leaving the damn building materials to sit and rust and rot in South Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, all along that southern border. Those building materials were just sitting there. So we paid for something and didn't even get it. We only got 400 miles of border wall? Something like that. It's totally insane what Biden has done to this country, and I hope and pray that come November, we're going to be singing Make America Great Again. And that's all I got for this video, folks. I want to thank everybody for watching. And hey, look, let me know down in the comments what you think about this new spending bill. Go look it up. Look at all the BS that's in it. It's a bunch of crap, man. I can't believe Johnson actually put that together and approved it. It just blows my mind. This guy was talking real big about deep cuts to non-defense discretionary spending, which is the money that they get to spend for pet projects and all this other BS, you know, sending this money to their district for whatever that we really don't need, like a monument for Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco, you know, a park with this other guy's name on it. Like, we don't need all this stuff right now. We're having financial troubles in this country, so we need to save as much money as possible. We need to get that $34 trillion in debt we have to start going down instead of keep ticking up. But, like I said, let me know what you think about all this. And thanks for watching, everybody. Try to have a good day and be positive. Peace.